the game. LeBron James and the Lakers trying to avoid a sweep in Game 4 against the Denver Nuggets. And yeah, look who else decided to show up. That's Kyrie Irving and Alex Rodriguez before the game. Anyway, first quarter tied at 15. LeBron only shooting 22.7% from three this postseason, so he's going to pass it, but it goes in the basket. Maybe that's what he needed to get him going from three. Under 9 minutes to play in the second, Nuggets down by 10. LeBron all over Jokic. Jokic throws up a prayer. That goes in. Crazy three-pointers all over the place. Ensuing Lakers possession. Keep an eye on LeBron and Aaron Gordon. Look at this. They get kind of getting into it in the paint there, start shoving each other. This was kind of weird. They each got a technical foul, right? I mean, I couldn't figure out what was going on. They each got a technical foul. Unfortunately, that was the end of it. But yeah, a little ugly there for a second in the first half of Game 4. About a minute later, Lakers up 11. James gets a screen from Anthony Davis. Nice spin move and finishes the layup. He had 31 in the first half, and the Lakers led by 15. But third quarter, Nuggets down by 7. Michael Porter Jr., he's going to shoot a three. He's going to miss. Aaron Gordon's going to tip it to Jokic, who hits the layup and gets fouled. Nuggets within 4 after the free throw. About a minute later, Nuggets down by 3. Jamal Murray dribbles right and hits a mid-range jumper, puts the Nuggets within 1. Nuggets outscored the Lakers 36-16 in the third quarter. Fourth quarter now, 5 minutes to play. Lakers down by 2. LeBron with the floater. Misses, but Davis is there for the putback jam. Anthony Davis would finish with 21 points and 14 rebounds. Game now tied at 102.
After when you thought, Graz, you thought something special was going to happen.
You thought it was going to be it, but here come the Nuggets, and they are tough. Jokic loving it. They're up by 5. Just over 3 to play. Same score. LeBron hits the layup. Now the oldest player with a 40-point playoff game in NBA history, but unfortunately for him, those would be his last points of the night. Next Nuggets possession. Shot clock winding down. Come on, Jokic.
Ooh-wee.
Unbelievable.
Chico.
Over Anthony Davis, no less. Next Lakers possession, Austin Reeves hits the three in the corner. He would finish with 17. Lakers hanging tough, down 2. Under a minute to play. The game is tied. Jokic driving on Davis.
Bully ball.
Denver up by 2. 30 seconds to play. Reeves inbounds to LeBron. He takes a fadeaway baseline jumper that does not go. Nuggets get the ball back. 10 seconds left. Murray trying to put the game away, misses the hook shot. Lakers get possession and take a timeout with 4 seconds left. Drama in Game 4. Chance for the Lakers to tie or win it. LeBron drives to the rim, puts it up. It does not go. Time expires. The Nuggets win and are champions of the Western Conference. They will head to the NBA Finals for the first time in franchise history. Jokic finishes with 13 points, 14 rebounds, 13 assists, and receives the Urban Magic Johnson Trophy as the Western Conference Finals MVP. And then LeBron talked about his future.
I don't like to say it's a successful year because I don't play for anything besides winning championships at this point in my career. And, I don't get a kick out of making a conference appearance. I've done it a lot. And, and it's not fun to me to not be able to be a part of, getting to the finals. But we'll see. We'll see what happens going forward. But I don't know. I got a lot to think about, to be honest.
It's not what I expected to hear last night. I don't think it's what the Lakers expected to hear last night. I don't think it's even what some people close to LeBron expected to hear at this stage of the game, given that he averaged 29 points a game this year and made an All-NBA team. It just put up 40
Playoff.
in an elimination game.
Yeah.
That said, he's on the verge of passing Kareem for the most minutes played in the history of the league, playoffs and regular season combined. Like, at some point, it's going to be time. He just played through a foot injury and played quite well. And other players of his age and stature, like Dirk Nowitzki used to always say, man, suiting up for a game at this point, getting prepped for a game, it's an ordeal. So at some point soon, it's going to happen. But I think the NBA world was surprised last night, and I don't know what he's going to do. I'm taking him at his word that he's going to consider it. So I don't know what he's going to do now. My whole world's in chaos.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, anything's possible, right? Like, and you have to, because you think about the emotions of walking off that court at that moment and what we saw from LeBron. The second to last possession, that shot was a terrible shot. That's not typical LeBron. That's a fatigue shot, right? And then you drive to the basket. When was the last time we saw LeBron James head of steam to the basket and a guard held the ball and kept him, like he would normally take the guard up at the rim with him and at least get a foul, right? So he's got to be in that moment, maybe in some emotions. But let's just say this, first and foremost, what an inspiring performance by LeBron James in the first half of that game. Watching him play in an elimination game like that and carrying his team the way he did in that first half, going back into the hot tub time machine to let you know, oh, I still got plenty of game left, and this is what it looks like. And then in the second half, like I said about the iPhone battery, they don't charge to 100 anymore. They run out quick. And that's what LeBron James showed us in the second half, is while he could still bring it like he did in that first half, can't do it for 40 minutes. And you need LeBron James to play like that for 40 minutes a night, 5 to 7 games a series, for 4 series to win a championship. And maybe he walks off the court thinking to himself, I don't know if I can do that anymore.
Or also, like, he is the epic entertainer and the quintessential figure piece in our league. Like, I don't buy this, and I'll just be honest. Like, I think you respect the conversation. His body has been through a lot. He's 38. The decades in the league are well documented. But LeBron wants to be on the court with his son, and he's talked about that a ton. And so I think that this was more of an emotional reflection. But I don't think, I also find it hard to believe that LeBron will walk away without a retirement tour, just because he is worthy of that. So like, no, I get it. It's emotional. This playoff run, this series in particular, was not only a toll, but you got swept. That's not familiar territory when it comes to LeBron. So I get it, but no, I'm not buying this.
We do see this sometimes, right? The athlete that's closer to the end than the beginning, right in the emotions of the end of the season, will sometimes say something like that and ultimately maybe not follow through on it. But Brian Windhorst, what did you make of, Zach said he was not expecting to hear that. What did you make of hearing that from LeBron last night?
Yeah, I'm going to respect his words because he said them and then reiterated them to Dave McMenamin. It goes against the plan that he and his team have put in place for the short-term future, both for next season and the year after, where he has had his contract timed out to either stay with the Lakers or potentially move teams to go play with his son. I would say that LeBron and his team's plan has basically been to try to go for 2 more years. But what I think LeBron is basically announcing at this point is that going forward, this is going to be a year-by-year decision. And so he'll have his offseason. The interesting thing about this is it probably, makes the Lakers have to scratch their head a little bit, because obviously having LeBron or not is one of the most enormous things that you could ever face as a franchise. And they are about a month away from making a whole bunch of major decisions about their team. And I suspect that LeBron saying this has something to do with that. But I also, again, am going to respect the Warrior who just walked off the court after, gassing himself, clearly playing all the way out the string and having, quite frankly, a very successful season on all told with this Lakers team.
Right. All right. So I think we can respect that and also ask the question. And, Monica hinted at this, right? Like, he's very conscious of what he says and how it's going to be received. So if you think he has this plan to go a couple more years, and he might be sending a message, right, with his post-game comments, what would that message be to his team, do you think? Wendy.
So the Lakers have kind of a double path that they're going to go down here. One is they can keep this team together that they put together the trade deadline. That would mean re-signing Rui Hachimura, who started and played 42 minutes last night. That would potentially mean re-signing D'Angelo Russell, although that is a much bigger conversation. And it would mean potentially keeping Malik Beasley, who I know didn't have a role in the postseason, but has some value to them as a three-point shooter and as a team option. The other option would be to let all of those guys go, potentially even trade away another piece or two, and open up to $30 million in salary cap space. They potentially even could trade their first-round draft pick that they have coming up in about a month here and open up even more space to chase free agents. And that's where you get names like Kyrie Irving in there. And so, the Lakers, after having 50 games of being a 12th place team, had 20 games plus a really impressive playoff run of being a legitimate contender. And so that's a contending team that they have there. But if you're LeBron James, you may want an upgrade to this team and may not want the team to stand pat and may want to apply a little bit of pressure to the team. Now, I'm not saying that these comments necessarily direct to that, but I will say LeBron does have a pretty long history of being a little bit passive-aggressive with team decisions. So I just think that when you look at his comments and you look at the Lakers situation, you just need to take that into account as you try to parse out what's actually happening.
D'Angelo Russell will see, to me, Rui Hachimura clearly passed him in the important hierarchy for the Lakers going forward. And so that's the choice. If you get wind that a star or all-star wants to come, it's really Hachimura or that guy. And that's a choice that LeBron will surely have an opinion about. Sure. And if LeBron doesn't come back, you just have a whole other series of questions.
I mean, the big name when we talk about adding a star is Kyrie, and I don't think it's coincidence that he planted himself there courtside last night, right? And was able to be seen on camera so much. I mean, is that the road they should be going down?
I think you explore everything. Ultimately, at this point, whether Pelinka and those guys want to admit it or not, like, if you are trying to maximize whatever LeBron has left in the tank, then you are definitely going to hear him out on who he potentially wants to play with. And obviously, these two have been successful before. I think in the time that they have been apart from one another, Kyrie obviously has had the opportunity to see just how heavy the crown is, so to speak, as a number 1 or 2 guy, whichever you want to say, depending on which team you refer to. So I think he's still a competitor. There's no questions about his game. The questions are never about Kyrie's game. And so if LeBron is the guy that can get him back on the court at 100% focused, I mean, if it's as simple, and Zach, you gotta, I know it's probably not as simple, but if you put Kyrie on that roster and in exchange for D'Angelo Russell, like, I still don't know if that team beats this Nuggets group, but that is a team to me that can contend.
The idea, right, he's talking about, I'm not satisfied getting to conference finals. The idea is to make the Lakers, if he's coming back, a championship contender, a team that can get past Denver.
Because that's all he's really, what else is there to come back for?
Right.
To win championships. And that's really been LeBron throughout his whole career as well. When he's in a situation and he sees we've maxed out, he generally will go somewhere else, right? Or he will try to make changes as changes can be made. It's funny, Monica used the word as simple as it would be to get Kyrie. There's nothing simple about bringing in Kyrie Irving. Let's be honest, at this point, and everything that is going on with him going there. The Lakers finally became a team that all the drama kind of quieted. Mm-hmm. They became a stable franchise. And the one thing that Rob Pelinka has talked a lot about, Zach, I know you know this better than anybody, is stability, right? Consistency, stability. If this group had played a whole season together, what could they have developed into? And now you're looking to just rip it up for a player. Yes, LeBron James is one of the greatest players of all time, and he still can play at a high level. But he's going to be 39 years old, pushing 40 next year. Are we ripping this up and doubling down on a future to try to win one more championship with him? Is that the right move for this franchise, knowing, like we just said, I don't know if he can do it for 40 minutes a night, 5 to 7 games a series, for 4 series at where he is right now.
The question is, what are you really ripping up? Because
that's where I was.
D'Angelo Russell kind of faded from prominence for this series. Malik Beasley didn't even play. And if the choice is Hachimura or a star, whoever the star is, I think that's a really serious discussion that you have to have, because this team is really good. This was not a fluke. They became a team that made sense and a real threat to win the West. And then you look at the West, it's kind of a conference in chaos, other than Denver and probably Phoenix, although they've got some major questions to answer. Memphis is in chaos. New Orleans is in chaos. Those teams are supposed to be the future of the Western Conference. This team could still have a window if they tweak it a little bit. When you talk about ripping it up in continuity, I'm not sure how much continuity you really sacrifice.
But you just said this is a good team. Like
but it's a good team because of LeBron, Anthony Davis, Austin Reeves, and really, like, Dennis Schroeder. It's not if the pieces you're choosing are Russell out, Hachimura out, somebody else in, like, that's not a lot of continuity or sacrifice.
And the other issue is the somebody else, if you're talking about Kyrie Irving, brings other stuff besides just being a really good player, right? So you talk about, I mean,
can't ignore that.
There are questions about that, right? Wendy, what's the likelihood that they could reunite Kyrie and LeBron in LA? Is that a thing that could happen, or are we just spitballing here?
Yeah, well, I would say 2 things that any conversation about Kyrie Irving anywhere else in Dallas has to begin with. Number one, in high likelihood, if he were to leave the Dallas Mavericks, he's looking at taking less than his max salary, okay? And that is one of the big reasons why he forced his way out of Brooklyn, was because they were not willing to pay him the salary he wanted. So you'd be talking about him making a departure from his actions in the past. The second thing I want to point out is the Lakers do have other options beyond Kyrie Irving, and not only just Fred VanVleet. Now, the reason Fred VanVleet comes up is because it's not clear whether the Raptors are going to go forward with the team that they have. They haven't picked a coach yet. They haven't necessarily picked a direction. It's possible that they could let him walk, and Fred VanVleet is represented by Rich Paul, who obviously represents LeBron and Anthony Davis. But if the Lakers open up the $30 million in cap room, they also have first-round draft picks they can trade. There's a whole bunch of other options open to them via trade that wouldn't necessarily just be Kyrie Irving.
Yeah. What do you think, Monica? What should they do? What should they do?
I still say that you maximize what you can get from LeBron. And so you're having a conversation about point guards that are available and best fit. Like the entire league wants 3 stars, right? Even at this stage of his career, LeBron is still a star. I think AD was better in this playoffs. We saw him put up the numbers that people imagine and dream about in terms of him. I thought he found a little bit more consistency. He was terrific defensively, and I know folks will say he's a first-half guy and maybe coast in the second half. But if you look at what AD was able to do, I think he showed you that he's somebody that if you can keep him healthy and on the floor, you do want to continue to move around. And so whether it's Kyrie, Fred VanVleet, whoever, if you can get someone that you consider a third piece and a star, it's still LA. It's still playing with LeBron. I think that you can fill in the rest of that roster similar to what we saw them do at the All-Star break this year. And so I think if you're still all in if you're the Lakers. Because of Zach's point, the West to me there's
opportunity
to take.
Yeah.
Well, maybe the Nuggets.
But you see what you said there, though. Like, so can we all agree, LeBron, next season and probably the future for him is he's probably year to year, like Wendy said. Okay, that's probably what he's setting up here. Is he now somebody that has to, as much as he hates the word spit on the ground, load management? Like, can he play? He's got to manage his games during the regular season to make sure he can get to the finish line, right? At this point, because he couldn't get to the finish line this year. He wore down, and you don't want that. If you're investing in LeBron James winning a championship, your regular season now is compromised. Anthony Davis is already a guy. You don't know if he's always going to be available as well.
He's played a 20th season in the NBA at the highest level we've ever seen. When you start thinking about what LeBron, so I can understand why it would be some thought from everybody else. Why would you leave? We just saw you put a 40, 10, and 9 game together last night in an elimination game when you did everything possible to try to get your team into another game. So I understand where it would be. And it's almost like, so this is my era, guys. Like MJ was a little bit before I understood how to play basketball. But I'm sure that people had withdrawals about the fact that Michael Jordan might leave the NBA. But this happens, right? We see LeBron James now, and we've witnessed his greatness throughout the duration of the entirety of his career. And now we're coming to a point where you are in the twilight, as much as we don't want to believe it. We just watched Tom Brady in the NFL play till he was 40, till he was 400 years old. LeBron is 400 years old playing in his 20th season in the NBA. We're starting to think that these things are not rare. Are they not anomalies? What we've watched from LeBron James is rare, and it's an anomaly based on everything that we see in the NBA. So, yeah, it would be the right answer to say I got to think about my future. He's been playing for 20 years in the NBA at a very high level.
And, Wendy, I think this is kind of what you're talking about, right? Like, it doesn't track with everything we've believed about his plan for the end of his career, but you said I want to respect his words. I mean, in the moment, it's legitimate to believe that this is a real consideration for him, right? Just because of everything Swagu just said.
Yeah, I mean, look, I've been with players who have retired and announced their retirement after the last game of the season. And I've been with players who have announced their retirement after the last game of the season and then came back to play multiple years. I mean, I stood with Richard Jefferson after the Cavs won the 2016 title. And he said, I'm done. And then he played 2 more years. I stood with Shane Battier and Ray Allen after they finished in the finals, and they said, we're done, and they were done. So I have just been around. I'm going to respect, his process. I do think he really, 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 really wants to play with Bronny. And so I think that's going to trump everything, and I think he's going to set himself up to do that. But I also think he's exhausted and tired. He played one of the great halves of his playoff career yesterday in the first half, and because of this retirement talk, We're not talking about the game, which is totally cool. I get it. We should be talking about what his comments were. He played one of the more remarkable halves of his 20-year career in the first half and completely ran out of gas at the end of the game. That is him facing his mortality. He understands that, and that's him reacting in the moment to that mortality. So it's all cool. Whatever he wants to do is fine. I suspect that playing with Bronny and giving him this one more shot will trump that, but I'm going to give him the space, and I'm sure the Lakers will too.
Swagu, you want to back in?
Wendy, I got a question. Yeah, I wanted to ask Wendy and all the guys up there on the panel, our great NBA guys. Do you think LeBron will have an opportunity to be positioned, each one of you guys can answer, to actually win a championship without having to be the catalyst?
See, that's I think the next conversation. Go ahead, Wendy. Yeah.
I mean, the Lakers made the Western Conference Finals. They are a good team. They are the Los Angeles Lakers. Everybody in this league virtually wants to play for the Los Angeles Lakers. They have cap space. They have draft picks. The Lakers are not desperate at all. Do they need some things to go their direction? Yeah, of course they do. Is LeBron capable of carrying a team as the MVP? Probably not. But to be clear, the Lakers are not in a situation where they are far from a championship. They are within reach of it, and that will factor into his decision, I'm sure.
That's what, watching the first half last night. This is a guy, LeBron, who went out there and said, I'm going to make sure we don't lose this game.
Right.
Like that was it. But like, is part of this whole thing recalibrating for him to where he doesn't have to be that guy anymore?
No, I mean,
in his own mind?
It's that. Now, again, I mean, we've seen great players who are very smart. They can turn into supporting cast players.
Yeah.
But it's LeBron James. You don't envision LeBron James becomes a supporting cast player. That's just not who he is. He's a dominant player. He's going to always be the focal point. So it's really for him to figure out is, can I play like I played in that first half for 40 minutes a night? Like, that's the biggest question. It's also thinking about when you've gone this far and you don't get to the top of the mountain. The first thing on your mind as a retired player is the offseason, and then it's got to climb this damn mountain again.
Right.
Another season, 82 games to try to get somewhere and then start this marathon, this sprint to try to win a championship. And that's what LeBron James and only LeBron James can answer is, does he have enough left in him to do that at least one more time?
And I think to Wendy's point about the athlete in the wake of the end of the season, that's another big thing, right? You're confronting that. Like, not only, I don't want to make a decision, do I want to come back or not? Do I want to go through everything that's required to happen? So, I mean, it seems like he's probably just in the middle of all of that everybody goes through, right?
Who knows? I'm going to, as Wendy said, respect his words and assume he's going to consider it. He's played 20 seasons, like Swagu said. He's played the equivalent of like 4 extra seasons in the playoffs.
Yep.
He's the all-time leader in playoff minutes by a lot. And I just want to reiterate, like, we saw the Boston Celtics lay down in Game 3 of a series they were losing 2-0. The Lakers did not lay down for 1 second of this series and damn near almost extended it last night. And we're sitting here talking about LeBron's mortality and how can he be the guy for 48 minutes because he played all 48 minutes of the game. The dude scored 40 points with 10 rebounds and 9 assists. We need to sit back for a second and just say, oh, is it ideal that he scored 30-something in the first half and the rest in the second? Who knows? He scored 40. 40.
And that's my point. My point is that he shows us in these little glimpses that he still got it. Like again, the games that he gives you, Game 5 against the Warriors where he reaches down and shows you, I still got it. I still got the crown on my head. Like, that's the thing is, the evidence is there that the game is still there. This is not a broken down player. That's not what I'm talking about when I talk about the battery. The problem is that you got to do it every night, man. Now, again, when he gets that opportunity to play with Bronny, that's not about winning championships. Like, that's going to be a whole different feel.
Sure.
Thank you for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming sports and premium content, subscribe to ESPN+.